Hi, this is Bill Henderson of WriteABetterNovel.net. Most of us have taken a creative writing class or fiction writing class at some point, and the first thing you hear, and you hear it again and again, is show don't tell. You think you're showing somebody doing something, and yet the response is, I don't want to be told about that. I don't want to have that interpreted for me. It's just that the language of telling is often associated with nonfiction, reporting, whatnot, in which the most important aspect is the conveying of information. Fiction, on the other hand, is a different game altogether. In the language of fiction, pure information conveying takes a back seat to language doing something else. Language making you feel a certain way. Language invoking certain emotions. Let's get specific. I'm going to switch the screen to a piece of manuscript, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you the language of information, trying to do the job of fiction, and then I'll show you how we change it. So let's go. Okay, I've written a short passage here and actually tried to make it not very good, in the sense that it tells you everything but it doesn't really show you much, and you don't have the chance to feel your way into the scene or even really see any scenes. Let's take a look. We have Jason, who delayed his visit to a car lot because of anxiety he felt due to his parents forbidding him to buy the vehicle he wanted, which they said was too expensive. Well, this is a report. We don't have a way into what happened. Next paragraph. His dad actually told him in no uncertain terms that he'd better leave his money in the bank. Well, that's a report of what Dad told him. This made Jason madder than he usually ever got. Well, now we have a measure of how Jason's anger clocked, but again we don't feel it. He actually talked back to his dad, and the result of that was that they hadn't spoken for days. Again, a report. We hear from a distance, as it were, that he actually talked back to his dad. All right, let's see what we can do with this. Make it better. Let's fly in another screen and try this. Jason walked onto the Franklin Street used car lot and worked his way through the Hondas and Toyotas toward the BMW he'd fallen in love with. Well, now you can see what we're talking about. It's no longer a report. You're with Jason, and you're experiencing what he experiences. You're seeing what he sees. There it was. He felt the familiar nausea along with fingers of panic down his back. Okay, confronting himself with the object of his desire, the BMW. Yes, he feels anxiety, but I'm not going to call it anxiety, because anxiety is a category word used to report a general class of feelings. Let's just get down to the feeling itself. What did he feel? He felt nausea and fingers of panic down his back. That's specific enough. What was he afraid of? Okay, Dad. He heard his dad's military bark again. Okay? And what does Dad bark? My typing is kind of slow, so let's just copy and paste. I don't want that money to leave the bank, Jason. A kid your age has no business making a luxury purchase. Okay, the issue's clear, and Dad's bark is ringing in our heads. Back into Jason's point of view, deeper into Jason's point of view. Dad laying down the law. He'd heard that tone all his life, and it had always silenced him. This time he felt a heat rise up in his head, so sudden and intense it almost blinded him. Okay, this is a scene forming here, and it's a scene with rather high stakes. Maybe for the first time in his life, our main character Jason is going to tell his dad off. You know what, Dad? he said in a voice he'd never heard himself use. You can just, well, shut up, I'm sure. I'm sure the author meant shut up. You can just shut up. I don't need you to tell me what to do anymore. Oh my, Dad's not used to this. No one in the house is used to it. I could say the house went silent, but let's show the house going silent. Let's show something which brings that home. Jason heard the heavy clink of his mom dropping a dish in the kitchen. Oh my, Mom has never heard this. His dad's eyes widened as he first froze, then turned and walked out of the room. And let's wrap it up with a summary which we can use at this point because we've shown so much. The house was silent for days. Yes, it's longer, but don't you think it's worth it? Because whereas before we only had a report of some events and a situation, we now have a scene which involves us in the emotional life of not only Jason but his father, and heavily implies a third factor, the mother. So we even have the beginnings of a triangle, one of those powerful forms of relationship structure that often drives stories.